It takes a dream team to counteract the financial nightmare. It is one, isn't it, Gary Coleman?
Always a poet.
Huh? Is it? Come on, Gary. Aren't you saying that on Fox?
Hello, can you got me?
Get your mic on. Isn't this a financial nightmare, Gary?
It's everything I've warned about for 3 years. And
Okay.
I must tell you, I was in, I got to share screen, right?
Yeah, go ahead.
Share.
Where are you getting that sunburn on your face and shoulders?
I just came from Mexico.
Okay.
I should put on a regular shirt, shouldn't I?
It's
I didn't realize I'm going to be viewed.
Yeah, you might need a few. You might need a few bouncers to keep all the women away from you.
Give me 1 sec.
All right. Gary's jumping in the shower. He's got. There he goes. Yeah. Look at this guy. What a warrior. He's putting on his suit of armor. Go ahead, buddy.
Let's get serious here. For 3 to 4 years, I've been yelling and screaming about one man, Jay Powell.
Yeah.
That he played God with the biggest market on earth, and that is the yield market, where every business, big, medium, small, every individual, every investor, speculator, and trader had to kowtow to 0% rates and absolutely rigged markets with fake conjured up money. I warned about the bubbles. The bubbles came, the bubbles popped. I worried about the distortions all over the place. And I worried about the unknown. What's the unknown? Well, I remember one thing stood out for me more than anything. Austria was able to float a 100-year bond at 0.8%. And I believe that bond is probably down 60, 70% right now. And you have to hold for 100 years to get your money out. It was that point in time I realized that Jay Powell, in his numbskullish way, had no idea that he has now forced all kinds of money that is denoted to income, forced to go out long or make nothing. At the lows, the 10-year was yielding 0.6%. And my question was, if all this money went into long-dated paper, and the eventuality was always that the bond market would eventually pull out the big middle finger and stick it back at Jay Powell, which, by the way, is us. How big a losses would there be? And in what shape and form will they come? And when will it come? It just came. And guess what? I was in Mexico, just got back. I was stunned to hear.
Where were you in Mexico, Gary?
In the middle place called San Miguel Allende. And by the way,
are you thinking of moving there to get out of the country and ride the storm out down there?
Hell no.
Okay.
Safe as can be. There were no issues. But back to my point. I've been stunned. We had Fox on TV there, and I watched people, and I had CNN come on and say, Jay Powell just saved the banking system.
Yeah, he nationalized it.
We're now good. We're covered.
Yeah.
Just so you know, they took over the retirement system with Social Security. A lot of it. They took over the healthcare system with Medicare, Medicaid, Obamacare. They're trying to take over energy. They've now taken over the whole freaking banking system. They nationalized banking, and they had people coming out saying, no, they didn't. When you backstop every depositor, you nationalize the system. But here's the problem. They have no capital.
Yeah,
they're now in prayer mode. They are now in prayer mode.
Isn't that what Gold is saying, Gary? I mean, I like your fire and brimstone here today, Gary, but I know you have been concerned about this. We all have, what are the implications? What are you telling your clients now? Because, I got this question Monday. Dale, what do I do? And, everyone's thinking about, well, should I buy? Should I sell? What about the option of do nothing in this environment until markets settle down and the dust settles?
Well, I can answer that with a couple of emails I got from some of the people that, follow me. Why aren't we shorting and longing? And I just said, if you want to stop out 99 out of 100 times on gaps to the upside, gaps to the downside, look what they did yesterday in the last 40 minutes. I said to them, here's what you do. You protect your capital at all costs. You wait for big fat pitches. Right now, it's news driven. It's all over the map. You have the people that cause the problem just take over the banking system, and you want to play into that? Well, what about gold? Gold's going to get a bid right here, but guess what? If they do something else, if this happens, we can wake up and gold's down $200. You just try to protect your capital at given points in time. This is not just money; it's the psychology of money. And those who keep their high water mark or near it, which we have done here very, very well. We lost no money in the bear market. We had some losing trades, but we stayed pretty much flat. Those that do that can sleep well at night, don't have money to make back, don't have to force things, don't have to force the issue, and just wait for big fat pitches. We also have identified a narrow list of strong tech names that are almost at new yearly highs, but we're also telling people if this worsens, we go back to one of our tried and true mantras. Eventually they get them all. So you better be on your toes. And that's that. The biggest issue
when they raid the saloon, they take all the girls.
Bingo. The biggest issue we have is and I say this all the time, if you had a doctor and you broke your left arm and you walked over to him and he put a cast on your right arm, are you ever going back to them? You're not, because you have a choice. We have no choice. We have to deal with Jay Powell every day. The man who decided to play God. By the way, ground zero was Bernanke. The trifecta of Bernanke, Yellen, and Powell is the worst possible trifecta at all time, and she's now Treasury Secretary. And I have to tell you, where this stops, I don't know. And the problem is they were forced into doing this with their own mistakes. Why? Because if they didn't do what they did, we would have had a run on 100 small banks. And JP Morgan would probably have 50 trillion under management now. But at the same rate, it's going to happen eventually anyhow.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. I know we're focused on banks, but I've been saying for a while, well, what does Buffett say? That you don't know who's swimming naked till the tide goes out?
Oh, yeah.
And, okay, so pension funds, they had to do the same thing the banks did. They had to generate 7% yield a year to keep it even. They went out on the risk curve to generate those returns.
Bingo.
They bought a lot of low quality paper. I think there's no way that the U.S. government doesn't bail out pension funds, which is probably
but with
the
what?
next. Huh?
With what? More printed money? Okay, great. Let's print trillions. And you want, they talk about inflation and this, that, and the other thing. We're headed for a bust one way or the other. And just so you know, I'm not one of these guys that comes out calling for crashes and smashes and 50,000 Dow. I keep my feet on the ground. But all I know is, and it was just so logical, what is the outcome of one man being able to, with no accountability, no oversight, print up to $9 trillion, get Europe to do the same. And there's two words that are involved here: forced to. All these entities were forced to doing things they would otherwise not do.
Like be at SVB, to be at SVB. Why not let those people take a hit? If I was long bonds when yields were 2%, T-notes, who's going to come in, handle my deficit on my trading account?
You got it. So they've opened this big spigot up. And again, I was stunned to hear people say, We weren't nationalized. They just backstopped every freaking depositor out there. By
Yeah.
the way, they have no capital. They're saying it's going to be with fees of depositors. How are you going to pull that crap out?
And the dollar's up on this news. So wouldn't you
Okay.
think that would portend a pretty serious, is that could be the next sacrificial lamb, don't you think? I
I
know
don't.
there's a shortage of dollars, but this
All I
can't
know
be
is
good for the dollar.
all I know is when all is said and done so far, whenever we get into situations like this, flight to quality, the dollar's considered the quality because it's the big, most liquid. Then that's why yields are coming down markedly. I mean, the yield market is trading like penny stocks right now.
Yeah,
And this is
exactly. The
all,
people compare it to the third world country debt
yeah,
markets now.
this is all the outcome. I'm sorry, but it's the outcome of one man and his ability to do what he did. And I almost can't blame him. We allowed him. Our government allowed him to do
Both
this.
parties, both parties.
Right. And the reason why is because my other line, nothing's wrong as long as nothing's wrong as long as the market behaves. Everything's
Okay,
fine. Don't worry about what's underneath the surface. Don't worry about debt and deficits until it destroys us. And now we're coming home here. And the
Okay.
benefactors, as usual, are going to be the big mothers. I hear Goldman picked up a ton of Silicon Valley stuff, and I heard it was negotiated. There is no doubt they cut a massively great deal for Goldman on this.
Yeah.
And by the way, how many Treasury secretaries have come from Goldman? So what I call the cesspool.
It's a cult. It's a cult.
The cesspool between Wall Street and the politicians continues. We're the victims. They're now telling us how much they saved us when they just made it worse. But I think they were forced into doing something to protect their own, asses. And somehow this guy is Teflon. When they have their meetings, they treat him like he knows what the hell he's doing. He acts like he's in control.
Let me ask you this, then. We're talking about solvency and we're talking about debt.
Yeah.
Okay. The next solvency issue, and with this going on, I'm sure there are many in Congress that are as furious as you are about this, more on the right than on the left, of course.
Yeah.
Is it possible that this just added gasoline onto the fire for there to be no deal on lifting the debt ceiling?
I don't know.
Because, majority opinion is this. They'll go through their theatrics, they'll do the hokey pokey, and they'll raise it. But isn't there enough vitriol for that not to happen? And people, if you're angry and I'm upset, and people are calling their representatives, they're upset, maybe they could use this as an example. And
I'm a big believer in history and precedent, and there's never been a ceiling on the debt ceiling. And it just feels like both Republicans and Democrats are cursing each other out in front of the camera, and they're laughing their asses off behind the camera or popping the
You're probably right. You're probably right.
And I have this line on my radio show. I have never been more optimistic on most of us. I've never been more pessimistic on them. What they have put us into, where very soon, 1 trillion of our tax dollars are going to go towards interest every year. It's criminal, and there's nothing we can do. And one elected person is worse than the last one. So what I just tell my peeps and myself, keep my feet on the ground. I've got a great eye for charts and chart patterns. Pay attention to price very much now. It'll dictate. A Monday ago, I'm telling everybody on my show and on TV, I'm really worried about how financials are acting, not knowing what was going to happen.
You're right. They were giving tells. They were breaking down.
I was watching insurance stocks crash, the regional banks getting destroyed, and I'm like, what's up?
And how about even the Russell? One day the market was flat and the Russell was down,
which is small, 3%.
Yeah,
which is small banks. And I emailed Neil Cavuto on Fox Business, and I think I used the words, Neil, I'm just letting you know something is up. And Neil knows back in '08, I was one of the first to get worried about the financials because for 9 months, the financials were woefully underperforming. I remember the Dow rallied 1,000 points and financials were down. And then the Dow dropped 1,000 points and the financials led down. So I'm a big believer. Watch this market here and you're going to know a lot. I watched yesterday the regional banks gap up and sell off throughout most of the day. People were, hey, Pac West, look at all this insider buying. And I'm trying to tell them, well, wait a minute. They started buying at $23 and it went to $5 2 days later. I'm not sure I'd be listening to them. And I just be careful here and don't blink because it's going to be news driven. They're not going to shut up in Washington. They're going to try to protect their own asses right now about all the mistakes they have made. You're going to get Elizabeth Warren blaming capitalism. Bernie Sanders saying we need to probably hire Hugo Chavez to run the show, and just watch price and it'll dictate. And I'll just show you some charts here to just look at MetLife.
Wow.
A stodgy insurance. By the way, you mentioned pensions and insurance companies. Guess what? Anything financial. Look at Allstate. This is not supposed to be. And again, they started breaking before this Silicon Valley Bank. So I'm just, where I stand on everything. I think we've bubbled up to the next chapter of who knows.
Of the great reset.
Yeah.
What do you think the great reset is? Do you ascribe to that?
I don't know. I don't know how
That's
this ends up
because finance. Yeah.
I don't know how you get the what back into the goose.
Yeah. Okay. So what about Gary CBDCs coming down the line? I think that if that's something they're going to do, it would happen during a dollar crisis. So the public would go, oh God, the dollar is just getting creamed, and they'll come out and they'll say, well, this digital dollar, this
they couldn't even manage their own the dollar, and then we're going to go do some digital. So
for control
again, we're at another moment caused by the people that are still running the show. And what I simply do is I have one rule: if it's below the 50-day, it's uninvestable. If it's above the 50-day, there's opportunity, and that goes for any entity that's out there. And I gather soon the best looking charts are going to be the inverse, sector and market charts, but not just yet. And I have a select group. I mean, look, I'll just look at CDNS and AVGO. And FSLR, it's not hard to do my scans now because I end up with 50 names out of 12,000. But I said to somebody, do I trust anything here? Because you can have these things that look great today and be down 15% tomorrow, because in the end, another leg down, the big money has to go to what's in profits and what's holding up. And that's what they'll do. But for now, I have this select group of BKNG and CDNS and First Solar and, believe it or not, GE and GE Healthcare and Meta, because they keep firing people and the stock goes up, and some semiconductors like STM Elect right there.
Yeah, the semis still looked okay to me. I don't know what they'll look like today, but they still looked okay.
They look stellar.
Yeah.
For what I don't know what the reason is, but they look stellar.
How about yields? They're very interest rate sensitive, so maybe they're smelling instead of higher yields, lower.
Could be. And you watch housing stocks here. If they still go down while yields are coming down, that's going to tell you something. We're seeing economic numbers right now that are less than stellar. Every time I'm on TV, I'm saying we got a problem here because savings rates have plunged and credit card usage is skyrocketing. So we can say the consumer's fine because, they're still in the restaurants, but they're running out of bucks and they're running out of credits. So call me very worried.
Yeah, restaurants are still packed.
Yeah.
And it's never been more expensive to go to a restaurant.
That is correct. Prices
but they're
ridiculous.
Packed. But
now we're going to have to deal with deflation, not inflation. And
of assets.
and,
Food
and more,
prices aren't coming down. We'll
yeah,
have some inflation. Food prices won't come down, Gary.
yeah, just this is the outcome of one man's whims with unimaginable amounts of conjured up funds, and nobody ever stopped them. As much as I yelled and screamed on television every time I'm on Fox, completely ignored, because why? Oh, look at GameStop. Oh, look at the crypto. Oh, look at the market. Oh, everything's great, terrific. Oh, boom. So what can I tell you? By the way,
All right,
this
go
tells
ahead.
you a lot. Look at Ferrari stock.
Yeah, the wealthy are still wealthy.
Oh, and they're going to stay wealthy.
Yeah. So Gary, I hope you feel better from being able to ventilate. I love to give you a chance to, get some of these emotions. Go ahead.
And let me say this. I take absolutely no joy
I know.
in any of this. I want to be able to applaud and give standing ovations to our leadership, to the people in it running it. But I'm a numbers and a reality guy. And we're up to 32 trillion of debt. By the way, Biden voted for 26 trillion of it, and he would have voted for all of it if it wasn't for Trump, him being out of power for 4 years. The Republicans talk a great game when they're out of power, but when in power under Trump, they ran 6 to 7 trillion of debt. So I have no trust there. And, I just, what can I tell you? I put my feet on the ground. I just look at the patterns. I stay focused. I have no longs. We'll get long some anti stuff if this continues, and hope and pray better happens. But when you have the guy who put the cast on your right arm, when you broke your left arm, running the central bank, and his counterpart in Yellen, the Treasury Secretary that wants world taxes.
Yes.
You just get speechless, and you keep your fingers crossed and hope for the best.
Well, more and more people, Gary, are starting to see the con in confidence.
Yeah.
Okay, so may you live in interesting times, right? So
Yeah.
here we are, and we have to do our best to make sure that people are understand return of capital, not just return on capital.
And I
ahead.
told my people yesterday three simple, well, it should be actually four. Do not get cute.
Okay.
Right now, just do not get cute.
All right.
I don't know where this ends up. Who knows? Maybe we finish up 1,000 points today because Powell announces he's lowering rates, and of course you sell into that. Just do not get cute. We're in unprecedented times of debt deficits, leverage, and stupidity, and where it stops, I don't know. I think the final outcome will be they think since it worked once, we may print up to $25 trillion for all I know.
Yeah, I think they'll keep the juggling the balls in the air for another year or so. Just my take. And there'll be rallies and there'll be failures. But are you still focused on a 3,000 S&P reading sometime this year?
I think there's ultimate, and that's based on valuation and earnings. Earnings,
okay.
are, you got some
that's
stocks.
That's before the banking crisis. 3K,
but yeah,
right?
I would think so. Look at Seagate; they rallied up on a 93% drop in earnings after an 80%. You can't do that.
It's not as bad.
Ultimately, even though Meta's rallying right now, the last 4 quarters, -18, -32, -49, -52. That's why they fired 25,000 people.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to depend on that. O'Neill taught me the greatest stocks are the ones where they're hiring 25,000 people and where earnings are up 50%, not down. So, I just take a step back, relax. And as I said, we're pretty much flattish throughout this whole thing. And, we'll see. We'll eventually
Gary,
get some. Yeah,
go ahead.
sorry. we'll eventually get some real big fat pitches because I think they're not going to be able to stop progress and new inventions and technologies and medicine to come out. And there'll be companies that are 10 baggers in the years ahead. But right now, I think there is a mallet overhead, and anything that tries to pop its head out, it will be a little bit of whack-a-mole, and that'll be the basketballs being held underwater. And eventually, hopefully, it'll be released, but I just don't know if it's in the near term. And, you know, thank you for letting me have this forum, and I hope I'm wrong. But we've been
consummate Gary Kaltbaum, the consummate pro who wears his heart on his sleeve. Thank you, Gary.
I give a crap.
You do, man. It was great. You know, despite the outside conditions in the world, Gary, great to be able to spend 30 minutes, you know, exchanging ideas and being able to listen to you express yourself. So thank you, my trading warrior brother.
You do great work, Dale. Thank you.
All right, Gary Kaltman, everybody. You can follow him at Gary Kaltman and catch his radio show and catch him on Fox and include him in your thought process. So that's a wrap here, everyone. Good hunting. Take care. See you tomorrow. Could join the team in 17 minutes. Not Gary Coleman. No, Tony. Yeah. Anyway, people are thanking you, Gary. And you could join the team in 17 minutes on the morning edge and keep an edge in this. And I don't mean being on the edge of the cliff either. So don't just count your pips, everybody. Count your blessings. Adios.
Hey traders, this is Blake Morrow with ForexAnalytix. Thanks for stopping by our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like these videos, share them, and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of the content that we provide here for free. Thanks for stopping by. I'll see you in the next video.